You were like one of the first calls I got when I got drafted. I thought somebody was playing a prank on me.
Did it have a really squeaky voice?
No, I feel like I needed a translator.
Wilmer was crying on the field. Remember what you told him that night?
Yeah, I told him that, you want to be wanted. So if the Brewers or whoever were a team that wanted you more than the Mets, that you should feel honored. You typically don't trade for guys that you don't think are good players.
I was sitting in Terry Collins' office, and I remember Terry had batting fourth that night.
Yeah.
And you said, you don't have to hit me fourth.
Well, this is even before, I knew that I was hitting fourth. I went into Terry's office the next day, and I'd say, Terry, don't feel the need to play me or put me in a prominent position in the batting order. My rehab stints have gone fairly horribly.
I think you got 2 hits or something.
Yeah, you don't have to remind me, Joe. I'm telling the story. I'm being self-deprecating. I don't need you to also deprecate.
Jay Horwitz, another edition of Amazing Conversations with Mr. David Wright. You realize I've known you over 20 years now?
Not sure if I should feel old or you should feel old. I think both of us should feel old.
You're over 40 now. It's crazy.
I know.
I bet you were 18 or 19.
I know. You were like one of the first calls I got when I got drafted. I thought somebody was playing a prank on me. I was like,
Did it have a really squeaky voice?
No, I feel like I needed a translator.
Well, you probably still do, but what do you remember most about the first season in 2004? Up in July.
It's funny that you say that because I just saw Johnny Franco out on the field, and it brings back such good memories. And I'm so fortunate that I got called up when I did to the team that I did, because it was a veteran team. Art Howe leading the way, and these veteran guys, they taught me so much, and not just on the baseball field, but how to carry yourself, how to manage your time. Just the proper way to prepare, get ready for a game, and to play the game. So I'm incredibly fortunate that I had those veteran guys kind of showing me the way to do things.
Cliff Floyd taught you how to carry his bags, right?
Well, that's not everything. Yes, I had to carry Cliff's bags, but he bought me my first custom suit.
Right.
He took me and paid for dinners at restaurants that I never dreamed I'd be going and eating at. So it was well worth getting up a little early to go get his bags and take them down to the lobby and carry them on the plane with us.
Let me digress for the baseball for a second. So September 12th, you're hosting your 3rd annual Battle of the Badges, police and firemen's baseball team. What does that game mean to you?
It means the world to me. I grew up in a police household. I was taught at a very young age that the true heroes in the community are the first responders. So I just saw Alex going outside, and I thanked her for doing this game, because it means so much to me on a personal level to be able to jump from dugout to dugout to say thank you to the fire department, the police department, to be a part of this baseball game where the majority of the proceeds go to charities of their choosing. It's just such a fun night. $20 a ticket, again, goes to some great charities, and it's great baseball being played. These guys trash talk, which is a lot of fun. They want to beat each other. It's a fairly even series, and there's some home runs hit. There's some great plays made, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
Last year you came up twice. Hopefully it won't rain this year, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hopefully we get some good weather September 12th, and we have a good time with it.
What do you remember about your father being a policeman? Do you remember coming home one night worrying in the house what was going on?
No, my dad did such a good job of shielding us from kind of the dangers of the job. He was in everything from vice and narcotics to part of the SWAT team to canine division. The dangers were definitely there, but he did a good job of, when he got home at the dinner table, talking about baseball or school or whatever, from taking our minds off of, the job. But I remember like it was yesterday that anytime a police car or a fire truck drove by, that you wave and you show, those brave men and women respect. And I catch myself now with my kids doing the same thing. Anytime we see a police officer or a firefighter, I have my kids go thank them, because they're the true heroes in the community. And baseball players, especially here in New York, we get so much credit for being role models, and I hate to use the term, but heroes to young kids. But the true role models, the true heroes in these communities, especially this community in New York, are the first responders, and obviously in particular the police department.
Speaking of kids, two girls and a boy, Manhattan Beach, California. Most of your time coaching. How many different teams do you coach?
This is great because I tell each of my kids, the three of them, that I'll coach one sport. And out there, the weather's so good that they play each sport in the fall and the spring. So it's a jam-packed year of coaching. My oldest one, she wanted me to coach soccer, and I know zero about soccer. I got one of the other coaches yelling at me from across the field that my team's offsides. and I had to Google on my phone on the sideline what offsides was in soccer. So, it's so much fun, though, to see the game, at that level and the pure joy. And it brings me back to, like, my Little League days of, going out and just playing the game and having so much fun. And that's the kind of attitude I tried to bring to New York with me, but now to see my kids going through those stages, it brings a big smile.
So what are the other sports you coach in?
My middle, so my oldest is Olivia, she's 8, and that's the soccer.
Right.
My middle is Madison, and she wanted me to coach her softball team, so I'm a little more familiar with that. Although she throws left and hits left, which, it just boggles my mind. And then my little man, Brooks, he starts baseball this fall, and he wanted me to coach his baseball team. So he throws right, hits left. So he's looking forward to that.
Well, 2 or 3 is not bad, right? I mean,
it's, I feel like, not that I'm teaching them how to hit, but, I feel like I have to look at myself in like a mirror to try to emulate, being left-handed. But it's just so odd seeing, Wright on the last name of their jersey and seeing them step into the left-handed batter's box.
What does it mean to you, David? Your career 14 years old with the Mets. I think Crane Poole had 19 years. What does it mean to have played your whole career with one franchise?
Well, it's a badge of honor for me. It's well documented. I grew up a Mets fan because of our AAA team in Norfolk, Virginia, and to be able now to, fast forward, I'm 41 years old, to basically be a lifelong Met.
If you're 41, I'm 54. How could that be? No.
You were 54 50 years ago.
Yeah, I was.
No, it's just such an honor. I mean, we get a chance to come back to the city a couple times a year, and just the reception that I continue to get, and the kind words from the fans. I mean, it just, the older I get, like the more sentimental and kind of emotional I get. So it's just so much fun to be a part of this family. And so to answer your question in a short way, it means the world to me.
What did I have a lot of fond memories of you, but for me, probably number one in my book, it was 2015, 3 o'clock in the morning in Philadelphia. I would get to the hotel, what's the name of the hotel? The Hilton?
The Westin.
Westin Hotel. From a trip. And there, you were in uniform, handing out cookies to the guys. You would just come off the DL, right?
Yep.
And you were handing out homemade cookies, warm cookies.
They were nice.
How did you? They were really good.
Jay, you were like the only one that ate them. Like all these other professional athletes wouldn't eat the cookies, but I think you ate about 9 of them.
They were great cookies.
But now you've lost all this weight. You're not eating cookies anymore.
My friend Linda's got me on Nutrisystem, and it's painful.
Well, you look great.
Well,
but I can't believe that's your favorite memory.
Well,
so nothing I did on the baseball field.
There's one of them.
It has to do with
cookies.
Giving you free cookies.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm not sure how to take that, but
and the next day, that was the Thursday. The next day, we're open up. It's August of 15.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was sitting in Terry Collins' office, and I remember Terry had batting fourth that night.
Yeah.
And you said, you don't have to hit me fourth.
Well, this is even before I knew that I was hitting fourth. When after the cookie incident, I went into Terry's office the next day, and I'd say, Terry, don't feel the need to
play
play me or put me in a prominent position in the batting order. Because I had the back problems were, it was kind of the beginning of the end for me. Physically, I wasn't the same. My rehab stints had gone fairly horribly, just with not hitting for power.
I think you got 2 hits or something.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to remind me, Jay. I'm telling the story. I mean, I'm being self-deprecating. I don't need you to also deprecate. So my rehab didn't go as well as I hoped for it. So, I tell Terry, hey, my ego's checked at the door. I just want to win. So play me in the positions that you need to play me. And, of course, he hits me fourth my first game back. But it paid off pretty well.
And home run second deck.
Yes, that was I got all of that one, and I felt very, very good. It felt it was so redeeming for me, having put in all the work, going through all the back stuff, and then to come back and make an impact so quickly. Felt really, really good, especially in Philadelphia, because we don't like those guys.
How about the World Series home run?
Awesome, best moment of my career. When people ask, what's your favorite baseball moment of your career, hitting that homer. First World Series game at Citi Field, my first World Series at bat at Citi Field. To be able to hit the homer and to, at this time I knew that my time was probably limited putting the uniform on, and to be able to look in the stands and not only see my family, but see my extended family of all the fans that were there and the looks on their faces and how that place was rocking, gives me goosebumps
It does. So, first time we actually met, you got called to July 24th, the first game?
21st, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I met you in Houston, right?
Yes, so you actually, you know what? If Major League Baseball is watching this, they should probably take your credentials
because
away.
I broke the law because of you.
You snuck me into the National League clubhouse to meet with
I made a credential up. I said, this guy from the Norfolk Times, David Wright.
You shouldn't be admitting this.
Well, what do you call it when you have time passes? You have...
like the 20 years has gone by.
20 years has passed.
Okay, got it.
And you wanted to be Scott Rowland.
That was so awesome, because Scott Rowland was one of my idols. Like, being in middle school, high school, like that's the type of player that I wanted to be. So I was playing the Futures game, and I stayed an extra day to see it might have been the All-Star workout. My agents, Sam Seth Levinson, Keith Miller, former Met, reached out to you, and you were very grateful in fabricating a credential
David Wright,
to get me into the
Times.
clubhouse. And Scott could have been better. Like, he sat down with me for a good, and All-Star games are so hectic. There's a million things you got to do, and he sat me down in front of his locker for 30 or 45 minutes, and we talked baseball, we talked preparation. It was so cool. So thank you for that. I'll bail you out of jail.
Yeah, well, I've been known to fabricate some credentials since the first. I want to go back to another emotional night for all of us. I've been in the beginning. Your last game in September 18 against the Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
When you, after the game was over, you addressed the crowd. How emotional of a night was that for you?
So, like, I typically get very nervous, like, addressing a crowd, but whenever, like, the microphone gets handed to me or I have to go to the podium, I feel like it comes out fairly naturally.
Yeah.
That night, I couldn't come up with the words. I sat in the dugout because I got taken out early, and the game went extra innings.
It's a 13-inning
So I had plenty of time to prepare something. And for a couple hours, I sat on that bench, and I knew it was going to be my last game, kind of in uniform. And I sat on that bench, and I was trying to come up with the words to address the crowd and to thank them. And I just couldn't come up with it. Like, my mind just wouldn't work because there was just so many emotions flowing through me that the only thing I could think of when I got the microphone was that, like it just felt like it felt like love.
I mean, full house.
Yeah. It was just the mutual respect that I have for this city and this fan base and vice versa. It just can't be put into words. And I couldn't find the words that night. So I just wanted to thank everybody. I wanted to tell them how much I appreciate them having my back, and that the biggest compliment I think that you can give a young player that, in my opinion, that spent his entire career in New York, that I feel like I'm an honorary New Yorker, and that's a tough badge to gain from New Yorkers, that they consider you one of them, and I felt like that's the relationship that I have.
Well, listen, all you get back to the city, it's a mutual thing. Remember the night? You played in 2 games or 1 game?
What are you talking about?
The 18.
I played in way more than 2 games.
No. Did you play that? Was it? Did you play? You just played it in 1 game.
I pinch hit the night before.
Right.
Which was a Friday.
Right.
I played Saturday.
Which game was the pop fly in?
The real game. The Saturday game.
That poor bastard. He's a foul ball to first base. I'd be like, drop the freaking thing, and he caught it.
That was fun. That was.
He caught the ball.
That kind of encapsulates. What's the word I'm looking for, Jay?
Encapsulate. You're asking me. I'm bad at English.
like everything that New York is all about is that, you know, the poor guy got booed the rest of the game for doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's catching the ball.
Catching the ball. But he signed a ball from after the game.
He sent a ball over and asked if I'd sign it for him. And, you know, I wrote something like, you know, you should have listened to the fans and dropped it. And signed it. But it was really neat, you know, for the fans to be into it the way that they were. And I mean, I showed up, you know, like I always did, like probably around noon for that game, 7 o'clock start. And there were fans waiting outside the players' parking lot. And, you know, I knew then it was going to be pretty special. And just the atmosphere during batting practice, the atmosphere during the game, the atmosphere after the game. I stayed until, well, the game went late, but I stayed until well after midnight, and just people lining up, and not even like wanting autographs or pictures, but just to like shake hands and say like thank you. And I felt, and I really mean this, like I felt like I should be the one saying thank you for taking me in and treating me the way that they did.
You know what I remember about the last year was how hard it was for you to play. I mean, you used to come in the days you knew you played 12 o'clock doing the back exercise, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just excruciatingly hard to even get to the point in the 18, right? It was just a tough haul for you.
Like I said, it's you, like looking back on it, you realize like your mind is telling you one thing, your heart's telling you one thing, and your body's telling you something completely different. And for the longest time for me during the rehab, I wanted it so badly to make it back, and I wanted so badly to be a part of this team.
You wanted to see your kids to play.
Well, that and like in 15, like we got off to a good start. We kept our heads above water when we needed to. We made some great trades at the deadline, and you know you want to be a part of that. You know, you want to be a reason that to help this team. I've always said it, like you want to leave the organization better than you found it. And that has been my goal from day one, is that when this team stuck their neck out and drafted me in the first round in 2001, you know, I wanted Gary LaRocque. I wanted to be the great decision for Gary LaRocque, a great decision for the organization, a great decision for anybody that had a hand in drafting me. I wanted to prove them right. And that was my mindset. Like I've always wanted to end my career leaving an organization in a better place than where I found it. And, you know, so it's. I wanted to come back, and I wanted to go out on my terms, but like it took me a while to realize that hey, your body's just not allowing you to do this. But yeah, like I wanted to come back and be a part of this turnaround to where we go to the playoffs and eventually went to the World Series. So yeah, I remember sitting in California after you know like doing my rehab, my two-a-days, and flipping on the game, and it just motivated me to like try harder the next day. Go at my rehab harder because I want to be part of the reason that we go to the playoffs and advance and go to the World Series. So it was great motivation.
We talked about 2015, the trade deadline. We get Cespedes, Tyler Clippard, Uribe really turned our team around. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Yoenis, deservingly so, gets a lot of the publicity for you know, coming in and providing that instant offense, that instant spark. But you know, like you said, Tyler Clippard, Juan Uribe, Kelly Johnson.
Uribe hated fantasy football.
Yes.
He hated fantasy football.
He'd walk around the clubhouse after games and turn off all the TVs that had football on.
Isn't it crazy? I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I can remember that.
That was funny. But yeah, I mean, I think the trade deadline, it's so weird because like as a team, you feel like you have the pieces to contend or you wouldn't be buyers at the trade deadline. But when you get, and even like, you know, what are considered the smaller pieces, it boosts the morale of the clubhouse. You know, and again, like Cespedes is the headliner, but when you get a reliever that can lock down the 6th or 7th inning, or you get, you know, a Juan Uribe or a Kelly Johnson that not only went out there and played great baseball, but were instrumental in the clubhouse that made, you know, our camaraderie and our team that much stronger, like off the field and in the clubhouse, that certainly provides a boost that, hey, ownership believes in you, the front office believes in you, so we're gonna give you these pieces to go contend.
One more thing, I remember before Cespedes, we had consummated a trade, Wheeler for Carlos Gomez, and it didn't happen. Wilmer was crying on the field. I remember you walking with your arm around him down the runway at Citi Field.
And those are the types of guys, to me, and you know, this could sound cheesy, but those are the guys that, man, you want to be in the foxhole with, the guys that love being a Met, the guys that, were drafted or signed when they're 16 or in my case 18
He still gets
years old.
applauded for that day.
Yeah, that love putting that Mets uniform on every day. Give me those guys any day of the week.
And I remember you had your arm around him. What did you remember what you told him that night?
Yeah, I told him that, you want to be wanted.
Yeah.
So if the Brewers or whoever
Yeah.
were a team that wanted you more than the Mets, that you should feel honored. I mean, you typically don't trade for guys that you don't think are good players. So you always want to be in a good situation. But to me, that's the epitome of like loving a team and loving a fan base and loving your teammates, is that a grown man would break down into tears after learning that he's going to be traded.
He's a Met forever. He's a Met
for sure.
And
And then he walks off the Nationals. Then was it next night or a couple nights later? I mean, that's just that's the kind of stuff that's why people tune into sports. They want that loyalty to their team, and that's what certainly Wilmer provided.
Any regrets with the injuries, David? Looking back, so 296 career average, 242 homers, almost 9,000 RBIs. Everybody always feels that Hall of Fame trajectory. I mean, is there any regrets now?
I mean, when I look back on it, like, of course, there's like specific regrets. Like, I wish I hadn't got hurt, or I wish that, like I would have, when I did fracture a vertebrae, like, maybe say something a little sooner, not try to play through it. But that wasn't like in my DNA. And
you hit a home run after you broke your back.
Right. And looking back on it, like, is there things that I should have probably done differently? Probably. But, I felt like, given what I wanted to try to accomplish, like I look back on it and it puts a smile on my face, because I truly feel like I reached my ceiling of my ability. And that's all I wanted to do, is I wanted to make sure I put the work in, take a blue-collar approach to work ethic, to playing the game, and make sure that I was outworking the competition, outworking everybody in the game. So when I took the field each night, I looked around and I said, okay, that guy might be better than me, or that guy might be a better hitter than me, or that guy might be a better fielder than me, but there's no way on God's green earth that they put in more work than me. And that gave me the confidence to go out on the field each and every night and be like, I'm going to be the best player tonight. I don't have to be the best player, I don't have to be better than, whoever throughout, a 15 or 20 year career, but I'm going to be better than that guy tonight.
Probably get embarrassed when I would tell you, working with me for over 20 years, you always did the right thing. In New York, when a policeman died, who can I call to the family? You're always there. When our dear friend Shannon Ford passed away, came up, spoke at her funeral in New York. Just recently, Omar Manaya's wife died suddenly. You fly up from Norfolk for the funeral. Mark Levine, our photographer, passed away. You called his daughter. Is it from your mother and dad that you always knew what the right? I mean, that's hard to instruct somebody to do that. And in this day and age, I worked with a lot of athletes. Very few guys do the things that you did.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think a lot of it is just, my dad would be the first to tell you, my mom would be the first to tell you that, they never tried to raise a good baseball player. They could truly care less. Like, my mom and dad would never get mad at me if I struck out 5 times in a Little League game. They'd get mad at me the way I acted, while I was striking out 5 times a game, and if I didn't root my teammates on. And they'd also tell you that they didn't set out to raise a good baseball player. They wanted to raise good human beings, good citizens. And, on a human aspect of it, I think a lot of it gets lost in professional sports in general of, just what kind of people, like we, and I use we generally, but what kind of type of people we are. Like, I wish more... It's easy. Just be good human beings. Like, be good role models for children. Be good citizens. And that's how I just tried to not only like play my career, but to just live life in general. Is that, just the human aspect of it, like just the golden rule of treat others the way you'd want to be treated. And it's fairly simple, and it, I'd like to think it comes natural just because of the way I was raised and my parents, but. It just and you don't do things, and I hope you would agree that athletes shouldn't do things for publicity.
No,
they shouldn't
and
do
never
things.
You never did.
For the camera.
And
that's the reason that right, and that's the reason that you just want to be a good human being.
I remember one time you visited quietly a young kid who eventually died in Sloan Kettering. You went unannounced to his room just to be the good thing. we're closing September 12th, Battle of the Badges. Tell me again, $20 a ticket, right?
$20 a ticket. Mets.com. I'm probably gonna get this wrong, so don't quote me. Mets.com/Battle of the Badges. $20 a ticket. Majority of the proceeds going to charities of their choosing, the police department, the fire department. Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
And you promised no rain this year, right?
I promise no rain, and if a brawl breaks out,
Okay.
I'll be right in the middle of it.
Okay.
Like I think I'm gonna like play both sides of it. I think.
I appreciate our friendship all these years,
Jay,
man.
you're the best. I truly mean that. Like you don't know how instrumental you've
Yeah,
been,
well.
and not only my career. And you say these, you list these good things, but you, Shannon, Ethan, like have been for me pillars of teaching me and instructing me and showing me the way to do these things. So I appreciate
You
you.
did a great job. So
Thank
thank you, sir.